G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment and subscribe. This is Super Rugby Review. This is the Western Force versus the Waratahs. Yes, the fight for the top 8, the coveted 8th spot in the Super Rugby ladder is truly on, and the Western Force was looking for that crucial bonus point win over the Waratahs. And only for the Waratahs to almost just oblige and hand over the bonus point in the dying seconds of the game. It was truly bizarre decision making, and if the Western Force had actually scored the bonus point try after the Waratahs practically handed over the ball, I will be calling for a possible collusion investigation into that. That's how bad this was for the Waratahs in the last few seconds of the game. So yeah, basically the Western Force was held up over the try line, couple seconds left on the clock, had to do a goal line dropout. Waratahs surprisingly won the goal line dropout with a 5-meter short kick, and only to immediately kick the ball back to the Western Force. And allowing the Western Force one final opportunity to go for the try to get the bonus point, which was completely, a stupid decision from the Waratahs, because they literally have nothing to gain at this point. The clock is already red. The hooter has gone at this point. They should have just kicked the ball away, out, and ended the game instead of kicking the ball straight to the Western Force. It was really bizarre decision making. The Western Force had one opportunity to score the try. They had a penalty, and then instead of backing themselves on that scrum dominance, they kind of went for the softer option, went for the lineout actually, and got the ball stolen from the Waratahs. And finally, the Waratahs kicked the ball out, ending the game. And this was a kind of that final play from the Western Force was kind of like the story of the game for pretty much the second half. Not able to execute plenty of opportunities for both teams to get more points on the board. But the Waratahs scored a try in about the first few minutes of the match. The first try was scored. When was it scored? The first try was scored in 7 minutes, and then the Waratahs failed to score any more points after that, and Western Force unanswered 27 points. And this should have been probably more points for the Western Force, especially in that second half. A lot of botched opportunities. The kicking game was managed really well, but with both Donaldson and Curlew on the field directing the traffic. And it just wasn't clinical enough for the Force. Sometimes maybe rushed a little bit, but just wasn't able to quite get there. The set piece, the scrummaging, was probably the most painful thing I've seen in a very, very long time. The Waratahs scrum was non-existent due to injuries. They had to call up, players that basically spent 1 week with the Waratahs. And it was just painful. There was a yellow card against the Waratahs reserve tight head prop due to repeated penalties. And it was just one-sided. The Western Force marching over penalties after penalties. Waratahs conceded 7 scrum penalties. Yes, 7 scrum penalties against in tonight, and that is just not good. And also, this kind of leaves me a little bit worried about the depths for the scrums for the Wallabies. The Wallabies, I guess the Australian side has just announced like last week that they've got a Australia first 15 match against the Bristol Bears the night before the Wallabies play against England at Twickenham. And this was just a really bizarre decision because, yes, I get it. You wanted to build depth to the squad, but there's really no financial benefit from this. And I just really struggle to think, because you're going to have 4 props, right, for the match against England the next night, your best 4 props, and then you can have another 4 props the night before against the Bristol Bear. I just don't know how the Wallabies are even going to find 8 props to go to this tour and filling for this match. Sure, it's great for building depths, but I just don't know where you're going to find the people to do this. And also, this is going to be a match that's just going to be probably played on stand, and it's really not going to get any money out of this, and you're going to fly like a full, team over, full at least extra 23 players, right? Full team over just to fill in for this match against the club. I don't know how this is a profitable venture for the Australian rugby, but hey, At least they're going to be trying to find 8 props. That's good, I guess. So yeah, that aside, the top 8 is really, fighting for the 8th spot. Endurance beating, the Endurance beating the Reds tonight was really an important win for them, keeping themselves above the 8th point. The Western Force really would love to have the bonus point to give themselves just 1 point, the Fijian Enduro, because next week both teams are going to have a really difficult game. It's going to be, the Juras versus versus the Highlanders away, and the Western Force is going to be playing the Reds away as well. So both teams are likely going to lose this one, and only to culminate in a final match between the Endurers and the Rebels in the final round, and the Western Force versus Brumby at home. So both teams taking on home round games to try to get that top 8 spot. It's going to be tough. It's going to be, very, very close. But it's very interesting how this is going to turn out, to say the least, for the Super Rugby teams. Now, let's have a look at the match stats. Western Force 3-1. Surprisingly, the Waratahs had more run meters. 317 run meters for the Western Force. Let's just refresh this. Yeah, and 452 for the Waratahs. 11 turnovers conceded for the Western Force, 18 for the Waratahs, 23 missed tackles for the Western Force. Waratahs has better tackle completion rate, 16, 121 tackles, and 135 for the Western Force. Kicks in play, 23 for the Western Force, 17 for the Waratahs, 100% off the boot once again for Ben Donaldson. He's really just, getting into that rhythm. I think he's currently the best goal kicker in Super Rugby right now. So he might be, actually that first up selection for the Wallabies, just based on his goal kicking abilities. That is all around the park. Decision making has been really good and crisp as well. So yeah, and managing the kicking game as well, keeping the Waratahs pinned inside their own half was really well done as well. The lineouts was a bit iffy for both teams. 4 lineout loss for both sides. And what is going on here? Yeah, 4 lineout loss for both sides. 12 for the Western Force, 11 for the Waratahs. Scrum, no scrums were turned over in this match, but it was just one-sided dominance for the Western Force. Like I said, 7 scrum penalties. The Waratahs had 2 scrum penalties themselves, and but yeah, it was just like timing issues. But it was just really, really, really brutal. 9 penalties are considered overall for the Western Force. 15 against the Waratahs. If you're taking out the scrum penalties, only 8. So outside of the scrum penalties, Waratahs actually not too bad around the park in general. There was 1 yellow card against the reserve prop for tight head prop against the Waratahs for repeated penalties in the scrummaging. Yeah, really, really brutal to watch there. So yeah, let's have a look at the match recap for this game. 7 minutes into the game, like I said, the Waratahs was just getting a bit of momentum inside with the Western Force 22. Lolakai Fuketi was able to get the ball in wide open space, just drifting a little bit from inside the 22, really close shot, just drifting a little bit, drawing the extra defender into him, and then he just popped the ball out to Mark Nwanga Nitawasi, who straightened up his running line, straight through, easy as that. Try time, 7 points to 0 for the Waratahs. It was looking quite good for the Waratahs at this point. I thought this was going to be a close game, potentially a win for the Waratahs maybe, but then when the scrums and everything started to kick in, it was really just everything just started going downhill very, very quickly. 10 minutes into the game, the Western Force strikes back. There was again inside the Waratahs 22. There was a nice little loop play. What do you call it? Backdoor play from Nick White to Ben Donaldson, and then Donaldson just ran this nice little angle, went through a bit of half break, offloads to Curly Beale, who ran a bit more and made a bit more ground, and then drawn more defenders. Another nice offload from Curly Beale, and then Kongzul went in for the first try for the Western Force. 7 points apiece. 13 minutes into the game, the Western Force had an opportunity to kick 3 points. They decided to back themselves to go for the try. Now the Western Force wasn't able to get the try from this penalty. They had a couple of opportunities here, but they did put a lot of pressure on the Waratahs. And then finally, 17 minutes into the game, they did get another penalty. And this time they went for the 3 points, which I think is fine because you tested out the opposition. You control the tempo, the pace of the game. And you wanted to walk away with some points, which is fine. And I really dislike it when team just go straight for the 3 points and then hope for the best, right? Hope to eke out a win with 10 points to 7. 19 minutes into the game, Isaac Rodda played extremely well this game. Just really physical. I was able to hold up players a lot. So this time Isaac Rodda was just like in the first receiver position. He got the ball, like pretty much a flat ball out of from the breakdown, and he popped a nice inside ball to Harris. Will Harris, I think his name is, the big number 8. He ran through a little gap, and then Harris, nice offload outside to Donaldson. And Donaldson just ran straight through for the second try for the Western Force. 19 minutes on the clock, 17 points to 7. So just before halftime, again, the Waratahs started putting on a few experienced players. Langi Gleason was subbed onto the field 36 minutes of the game because I think the Waratahs felt like they were just lacking a bit of physicality. And 40 just before halftime, on the 40th minute mark, there was just another scrum penalty. The Western Force was just putting way too much pressure on the Waratahs, and players were slipping down on their knees before the ball had come in. And the referee giving out a warning. This was right in front of the goalpost, so the Western Force kicked this one. 20 points to 7, half time. Yeah, and then second half started. Was very clumsy for both teams, I would say the least. Neither team were able to put sustained pressure on one another. I thought the outside of the definite dominance from the scrummaging for the Western Force, everything else was just wasn't really that everything else was quite evenly matched, to be frank. I thought maybe the Waratahs could have committed a breakdown a little bit better, but yeah, it is what it is. 65 minutes into the game, repeated penalties to the scrum. There was a yellow card to the reserve tight end prop, was sent off finally, and the Western Force, despite having a play in the bin, was not able to execute, and not tidy, and not able to get actual points on the ball all the way until 68 minutes into the game. Again, the Western Force was having the scrum penalty right in front of the goalpost, punishing the Waratahs, and eventually looked like the Western Force could march the Waratahs over for a try, but no, there was just a penalty advantage, and the ball kind of weirdly, the scrum kind of wheeled, and the ball kind of just end up in the over the dead ball, over the try line, and then the Western Force players just kind of drop down on it for the try. Princep, when it gets this one, 68 minutes on the clock, 27 points to 7. And then, that's pretty much it. Neither teams were able to score. Kungzu scored a try on the just a few seconds before the full-time whistle. And it was disallowed. There was a little bit of separation between him and the ball. No try. And and then the game kind of finished, like I said, the bizarre Waratahs goal line dropout to win the ball back immediately, and then kicking the ball to the Western Force almost immediately, giving the Western Force one last chance to get that bonus point. And then the Western Force should have gone for the scrum, because they could have easily got the scrum advantage and then build onto that. But they went for the line-out, and the line-out wasn't clean, was stolen by the Waratahs, and then Tang Emin kicked it out for the finish. Yeah, let me know your thoughts about this game. Let me know your thoughts about, how the Wallabies are going to find 8 props to go to the spring tour. Let me know, because I actually don't. And let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Have a good one. I'll see you guys later. Cheers.